Hey, welcome to Cooked by Cass. In this video, we'll be making banana nut bread. Now, first, I want to walk you through the items that you'll need. So here's a picture. You can screenshot it. So you'll want to beat your eggs. And then the same butter from the ingredients, you'll just use that to butter the loaf pan. Make sure you get it all on the sides. You'll see at the end, it'll just slide right out. So it's really easy. Yep, get all the parts. Okay, so now you've got your bananas. You're going to want to mash them. So sometimes it's a little rough getting started, but just be sure to just keep working through it. And so I kind of do one banana at a time, and then from there, just work them all in together. I found a fork helps. If you know of another tool that's better, you can use that. But I usually just mash them with a fork and work it in, and it'll start to get a little creamy. So you'll see the texture change. But yeah, just be sure to keep working the bananas. Okay, so now you're going to want to add your 2 beaten eggs. And then also the 1/2 cup of butter, melted butter. So go ahead and work that in. This will be your wet ingredients. So we'll keep this separate from the dry ingredients. So just work those in together. And you'll see the texture change here. So now we'll work on the dry ingredients. So you want to sift your flour. So I found this helps with reducing any lumps that you can have in your final banana bread. So continue to sift. You're almost done. Just keep sifting. And you can work through the clumps just to make sure that they get sifted as well. Now to the flour, you're going to go ahead and add the sugar. And so you'll sift the sugar. And also, just so you know, I used self-rising flour, but you can use all-purpose. If you do use all-purpose, you just need to be sure to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So I didn't have to do that because I used self-rising flour. So just keep that in mind, and I'll include that in the description below. Okay, so now you want to mix that sifted sugar and the sifted flour together. So you just combine those two. And this will complete your dry ingredients. So I'm just working around the bowl, getting it combined really well. Okay, so now you're going to bring the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients mixture. And you want to do it just maybe like a cup or so at a time. I think I did a 1/2 cup, but you'll see why. If you put all that flour in there, you're just going to have a mess. So 1/2 cup to a cup is usually a good amount to go ahead and put in the mixing bowl. And you can whisk it by hand if you don't have a mixer, a blender. So go ahead and scrape it into. I found that it helps to get a little bit of the wet ingredients onto the dry. It helps so you don't have so much flour kind of flying around once you start mixing. Okay, so now go ahead and blend the other part of flour that you're adding to the wet mixture and just work it in. And I'm just turning the bowl as I go. It just makes it easier to ensure that I'm getting as much as possible with the blender before I have to scrape the sides again. So you'll see that we'll scrape the sides here shortly. Once we've got it all mixed in, and you can kind of see once your mixing is done. So here now, as you can see, there's still some flour on the side. So I want to be sure to get that and mix that in pretty well. And you can see the texture change too. It's more kind of like a loose, doughy mixture. So now we're just going to put in the walnuts. I put them in a hole. You can chop yours if you want. But I found that when you're cutting the banana bread, it slices the walnuts anyways. So you do get like bits of walnut anyways. But you can chop it or do it whole. And these are raw walnuts. So I did a half a cup of those walnuts. And now we're pouring the batter in the loaf pan. And so remember, our loaf pan's already been greased, so we're all set there. And if you haven't already, you can start preheating your oven to 350 degrees. So that way you're able to just pop this into the oven once you get it all into the pan. And an additional thing, it's optional. You can just top it. I think it looks nice with the topped walnuts. So you can top it with the walnuts. And these I did chop just for presentation. But you can chop the walnuts, ensure they're tucked in to the batter. So now you're going to put it in the oven, 350 degrees. And I use a small oven. I just prefer that one for the banana bread. And mine's already cooled down. And as you can see, it releases pretty well. I did do like a little light scrape just to make sure. But yes, so I like mine. It's got a crunch and then the inside is really soft. So I really like that. And you're just going to want to cut it. I used a bread knife. Whatever serrated knife you have, you can use that. As you can see, you have to work through it and you have to be careful because it can break apart. So I'm trying to be very gentle when cutting it. So I'll just cut those two pieces to show you how I plate and garnish. You can see the walnuts are chopped once we cut through them, as I mentioned. So there's a little bit of whipped cream. I think you could do like ice cream. Some people like ice cream with their banana bread. So here's the cinnamon. You really could just shake it over, out of your container. But I try to do a little special garnishing here. But yeah, you can just do it how you want. Yes, so I couldn't wait. So I decided to dive into this. And it's delicious. So I had a friend ask me for the recipe. And just so you know, the banana bread can be frozen. And it can last up to 3 months in your freezer. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment and subscribe. Thanks so much for tuning in.